Some celebrity deaths don't just shock the world, they shake it to its core. Especially when they strike without a whisper of warning. These weren't just entertainers, they were giants, icons, the voices and faces that shaped entire generations until fate ripped them away far too soon. And in Hollywood, few losses cut deeper than the sudden, heartbreaking deaths of black actors whose brilliance was just beginning to reach its peak. From mysterious medical emergencies to devastating accidents, these stories will grip your heart and linger in your mind long after the screen fades to black. Brace yourself. This journey is as haunting as it is unforgettable. Erica Ashe. A name that once lit up every room, every stage, every screen she touched. Hear ye, that playful, booming voice could pull you in before you even realized you were smiling. Erica was that rare kind of actress who could make you laugh so hard your ribs ached, then flip effortlessly into a moment of raw, stunning emotion the very next second. Born on September 19, 1977, in Florida, she didn't start out dreaming of comedy. Modeling was her first stop. But destiny had bigger plans, and soon the world discovered the powerhouse hiding behind that radiant smile. She became a breakout force on MAD-TV, delivering impressions and characters that left audiences in tears, the good kind. Week after week, she proved she wasn't just funny, she was unforgettable. And when she stepped into drama, she hit just as hard. In Survivor's Remorse, her role as M. Chuck, sharp-tongued, fearless, and painfully honest, showed a depth and vulnerability that only Erica could blend so naturally. Then came Real Husbands of Hollywood, where she went toe-to-toe with Kevin Hart, matching his energy with her own brilliant wit. Their chemistry was electric, the kind that made viewers feel like they were watching real life, not just scripted comedy. And in Contempt, she proved once again that she could command a courtroom with the same force she commanded a laugh. But on July 29, 2024, everything went silent. Erica Ashe passed away from cancer at just 46 years old, an age far too young for someone whose light was still rising, not fading. Her family kept her illness private, a reminder that even the brightest stars guard their most fragile battles. Erica left behind laughter, strength, and a legacy cut heartbreakingly short. But the world will never forget the woman who could make you burst into laughter and break your heart, all in the same breath. Chance Perdomo once said his life was full of good times, full of laughter, full of love, a family. And anyone who watched him shine on screen knew exactly what he meant. With a face you remembered instantly and a presence that felt larger than life, Chance was born on October 19, 1996, in Los Angeles, but raised in Southampton, England, giving him that rare blend of American warmth and British charm. Even his voice had a magic of its own, turning every character into someone you wanted to know more about. He first caught public attention in the BBC drama Killed by My Debt, gripping viewers with a raw, emotional performance. But it was Chilling Adventures of Sabrina that transformed him into a breakout star. As Ambrose Spellman, Sabrina's enigmatic cousin, he embodied a centuries-old warlock confined to house arrest, somehow managing to be both ancient and youthful, mysterious yet playful. People didn't just watch Ambrose, they felt him. After Sabrina, Chance stepped into another supernatural world with Gen V, the explosive spin-off of The Boys. As Andre Anderson, a young superhero wrestling with magnetic powers and heavy family expectations, he delivered a performance that critics praised and fans instantly connected with. And then, everything stopped. On March 29, 2024, Chance Perdomo died in a tragic motorcycle accident. He was just 27, young, brilliant, and right in the middle of a career that was only getting brighter. Riding was something he loved, a piece of freedom he held onto. No one could have predicted that passion would lead to the moment that took him away. The news stunned Hollywood. Fans, castmates, and friends were left speechless, struggling to accept that someone so vibrant, so full of promise, was suddenly gone. Chance Perdomo left us far too soon. But the magic he brought to every role, the laughter, the mystery, the heart, remains unforgettable. Chino XL. Sometimes even the strong friend needs someone to lean on. Those words hit harder when you know the man behind them. Derek Keith Barbosa, Chino XL, wasn't just a rapper. He was a lyrical force of nature born on July 25, 1968, in the Bronx, forged by struggle, silence, and the power of language. From the moment he picked up a pen, you could tell he wasn't here to blend in. He was here to cut deep. Chino wasn't your average MC. He was a razor-sharp wordsmith who happened to choose hip-hop as his battlefield. His verses, layered with metaphors, historical references, and gut-punch truths, could stop you cold. Tracks like Creep and No Complex didn't just entertain, they exposed the wounds he carried, from mental health battles to family turmoil and the harsh realities of growing up in the Bronx. And then there were the feuds, especially the legendary back and forth with Tupac Shakur. Their lyrical war shook the hip-hop world, and even Pac had to respect Chino's pen. You couldn't step into that arena unless you were built for it, and Chino was. Throughout his career, he dropped albums that critics admired and artists feared. He didn't chase trends, radio hits, or fame. He crafted art, raw, dense, lasting. The kind of rap that demanded you listen twice just to catch everything he buried between the lines. But behind the fearlessness was a man fighting battles no one saw. On July 28, 2024, the world was stunned when Chino XL was found dead in his home, an apparent suicide by hanging. He was 55. To fans, he seemed steady, still creating, still respected. But mental pain rarely announces itself. It hides behind strength, behind brilliant words, behind a smile that makes everyone think you're okay. Chino XL left behind a legacy of unmatched lyrical genius, and a heartbreaking reminder that even the strongest voices sometimes suffer in silence. Mandisa, a voice that could shake heaven, finally fell silent. We now know the heartbreaking cause of death for Grammy-winning Christian singer Mandisa, the former American Idol standout who was found in her Nashville home this past April. Mandisa Lynn Hundley, known simply as Mandisa, was born on October 2, 1976, in California. From the moment she could speak, she was singing, filling church pews with a voice so full of warmth and faith it felt like sunlight. That same voice eventually carried her to one of the biggest stages in America, Season 5 of American Idol. In 2006, Mandisa became an instant fan favorite. Her powerhouse vocals, her radiant smile, and the strength she carried even through criticism made her unforgettable. Ninth place didn't stop her, it launched her. And she ran with it. After Idol, Mandisa rose even higher. Her songs, Overcomer and Good Morning, became lifelines for people fighting battles the world couldn't see. She wasn't just singing, she was healing. Her Grammy win proved what millions already knew: Mandisa's music touched souls. But on April 18, 2024, that bright, uplifting voice was gone. She was only 47. Officials later confirmed she died from complications related to Class 3 obesity, the most severe form, a quiet struggle she carried behind the spotlight. Mandisa left us far too soon, but her legacy remains a reminder. Even those who lift others up sometimes fight their own hardest battles in silence. Aaliyah. Even saying her name feels like touching something sacred, because the truth behind her story is still wrapped in shadows. Aaliyah Dana Houghton wasn't just talented, she was pure, effortless magic. Born in Brooklyn on January 16, 1979, and raised in the heart of Detroit, she moved through the world with a calm, angelic confidence that made greatness look easy. From the moment she stepped onto the music scene as a teenage prodigy, everyone knew she wasn't like anyone else. At just 15, she dropped her debut album, Age Ain't Nothing But a Number, produced by R. Kelly. Tracks like Back and Forth and At Your Best revealed a voice that was strangely mature, soft as velvet, yet strong enough to shake the room. But it was her second album, One in a Million, that changed everything. Teaming up with Timbaland and Missy Elliott, she created a sound the world had never heard before, futuristic beats wrapped around her silky, feather-light vocals. Songs like If Your Girl Only Knew and One in a Million felt like they came from another universe. And Aaliyah wasn't just rewriting music, she was redefining style and stardom. Her baggy pants, crop tops, and that mysterious single strand of hair falling over one eye became a cultural moment. She made cool look effortless and feminine at the same time, inspiring millions of young women who wanted to move like her, dress like her, be like her. Hollywood saw it too. She shined alongside Jet Li in Romeo Must Die, delivering a performance so natural it was hard to believe she was only in her early 20s. She was even cast in the Matrix sequels, roles that would have launched her into global superstardom. But on August 25, 2001, the world stopped. After filming a music video in the Bahamas, Aaliyah boarded a small plane bound for Miami. Moments after takeoff, it crashed. All 9 passengers died. Aaliyah was just 22. Reports later revealed the plane was overloaded and the pilot wasn't licensed to operate it. Just like that, the girl who floated through life with effortless grace was gone. But the mystery, the brilliance, and the legacy she left behind? That still remains untouched, unforgettable, and forever one in a million. Lloyd Avery too never planned to become the villain he once pretended to be. Born June 21, 1969, in Los Angeles, he grew up in a stable middle-class home in Baldwin Hills, a world away from the street violence he would later portray on screen. Acting ran in the family, even his younger brother performed, so creativity was part of the Avery household. In the early 90s, Lloyd started landing small roles, but everything changed when John Singleton cast him in Boys and the Hood, 1991. As Knucklehead number 2, he didn't need many lines. His cold stare and dangerous intensity said everything. Audiences remembered him, even if they didn't know his name. Hollywood took notice. He followed up with movies like Poetic Justice alongside Janet Jackson and Tupac Shakur, carving out a niche as the tough, uncompromising street figure. At first, these roles were just acting, characters drawn from a reality he observed, not lived. But slowly the lines blurred. The persona he embodied on screen began creeping into his real life. By the late 90s, the once promising actor was slipping into the very world his films warned about. Gang ties deepened. Trouble followed. And in 2001, everything collapsed. Lloyd Avery II was convicted of a double homicide from 1999 and sentenced to life in prison. The man who once played fictional criminals was now locked away for real ones. Prison offered no redemption. On September 4, 2005, inside the harsh walls of Pelican Bay State Prison, Lloyd was found dead in his cell, beaten and strangled by his own cellmate in what authorities called a racially motivated attack. He was only 41. A career that began with raw talent and Hollywood promise ended in tragedy, a haunting reminder of how quickly a role can become a reality, and how a young man with so much potential lost himself in the darkness he once only pretended to play. Tupac Shakur wasn't just an artist, he was a storm, a statement, a spark that refused to burn quietly. I like to think I'm a rebel, a revolutionary. I like to think I bring change, he once said. And he did, louder and faster than anyone expected. Born June 16, 1971, in East Harlem, Tupac Amaru Shakur carried the name of an ancient Incan revolutionary, almost as if destiny had already chosen his path. His mother, Afeni Shakur, a fierce Black Panther activist, raised him in a world where survival, justice, and resistance were daily lessons. That fire never left him. He started humbly, as a backup dancer and MC for Digital Underground, but Tupac was never meant to stand in anyone's shadow. With Tupacalypse now in 1991, he kicked the door open. His music was raw, political, and unapologetically real. Brenda's Got a Baby forced America to confront the pain of forgotten communities. He rapped what others were too afraid to say. But Tupac was a contradiction wrapped in brilliance. One moment he was preaching about social injustice, the next he was living the fast life. Albums like Me Against the World and All Eyes on Me revealed every corner of his soul, from the heartfelt tenderness of Dear Mama to the explosive rage of Hit, I'm Up, one of the fiercest diss tracks in hip-hop history. And he wasn't just a rapper, he was an actor with gravity. In Juice, Poetic Justice, and Above the Rim, Tupac lit up the screen with the same intensity that electrified his music. Every role felt lived in, as if he carried the weight of his entire generation into every scene. But the 90s hip-hop world was a powder keg, and Tupac was standing at the center. The East Coast, West Coast feud spiraled into something far beyond music. On September 7, 1996, in Las Vegas after a Mike Tyson fight, Tupac rode with Death Row CEO Suge Knight. At a red light, a white Cadillac pulled up beside them, and the night exploded. Multiple shots tore through the car, striking Tupac 4 times. He fought for 6 days. Then, on September 13, 1996, the music world stopped. Tupac Shakur, poet, prophet, rebel, was gone at just 25 years old. But legends don't die. Tupac left behind a legacy that still echoes in every beat, every protest, every truth spoken boldly. His voice became immortal the moment the world tried to silence it. Young Dolph, a name that carried the heartbeat of Memphis. Adolph Robert Thornton Jr. wasn't just from the city, he was the city. Born July 27, 1985, he came up on the same rough pavement he later rapped about with that unmistakable voice, deep, raw, and carved from real life. Dolph never polished his truth for anyone. His music was pure Southern grit, the kind that smelled like struggle, loyalty, and survival. He began pushing out mixtapes in the early 2000s, tapes that spread through Memphis like wildfire. Fans felt him because he wasn't pretending, wasn't dreaming up stories, he was living them. Projects like King of Memphis and Rich Slave showed a man growing, but never leaving behind the streets or the people who shaped him. Dolph built his empire on independence, refusing to bow to major labels. He owned his masters, owned his voice, and owned every chapter of his rise. And yes, his rivalry with fellow Memphis rapper Yo Gotti added fuel to the city's hip-hop spotlight. It was tense, heated at times, but it reminded the world that Memphis had talent sharp enough to cut through the whole industry. But on November 17, 2021, everything stopped. Young Dolph walked into Makida's Butter Cookies, one of his favorite spots, to pick up treats for his mother, something he did often because family came before fame. Moments later, 2 gunmen approached and opened fire. The shots echoed across Memphis. A son, a father, a hometown hero was gone at just 36 years old. His death wasn't just a murder, it was a heartbreak for a city that had finally watched one of its own rise, only to lose him in the very place he loved most. Nipsey Hussle. Say that again, man? You're an up-and-coming artist, what did you say you want to do? I said I want to invest in some assets instead of wasting my money on liabilities, like diamonds. Those weren't just clever words, they were the philosophy of Ermia's Joseph Askedom, known to the world as Nipsey Hussle, a man born with purpose burning in his chest. Born August 15, 1985, in South Los Angeles, Nipsey grew up in the heart of Crenshaw, where struggle wasn't a story, it was a daily reality. But instead of letting the streets break him, he used them as fuel to build something bigger than himself. Nipsey started rapping as a teenager, releasing raw, sharp mixtapes that painted his neighborhood with brutal honesty and rare wisdom. Projects like Bullets Ain't Got No Name put him on the map, not as a rapper chasing clout, but as a storyteller documenting survival, loyalty, pain, and hope. He didn't just rap about the problems, he searched for solutions, for growth, for a way forward. In 2018, his major label debut Victory Lap dropped like a victory call from a man who climbed out of the trenches and kept receipts. It earned him a Grammy nomination and cemented him as a leader, not just an artist. Tracks like Racks in the Middle and Double Up showed how far he'd come, leveling up without ever losing allegiance to where he started. But on March 31, 2019, outside his Marathon clothing store, everything changed. Nipsey was speaking with Eric Holder Jr. when a tense exchange unfolded. Holder walked away, then returned minutes later with a gun. Multiple shots rang out, taking Nipsey's life far too soon. He was only 33. Yet his legacy refuses to fade. He left behind more than music. He left a blueprint for ownership, economic empowerment, and community uplift. Nipsey Hussle didn't just run a race. He challenged an entire generation to finish the marathon he started. Chadwick Boseman. We must find our way to look after one another, as if we were one single tribe. Chadwick Aaron Boseman wasn't just an actor. He was a force of nature, a man who disappeared so completely into his roles that you forgot he was acting at all. Born on November 29, 1976, In South Carolina, he studied directing at Howard University, quietly preparing for a future no one could have imagined. He started small, guest roles, TV appearances, bits and pieces of a dream slowly forming. But everything changed when he stepped into the shoes of real-life legends. As Jackie Robinson in 42, Chadwick didn't just play a baseball hero, he carried the weight of history, of dignity, of courage. Audiences felt it. Hollywood noticed. Then came Get On Up, and suddenly Chadwick became James Brown. The swagger, the fire, the unpredictable brilliance. It was as if the godfather of soul had been resurrected on screen. But nothing, and truly nothing, shook the world like Black Panther. As T'Challa, King of Wakanda, Chadwick embodied royalty, pride, and a powerful image of black excellence that echoed across continents. Black Panther wasn't just a film, it was a cultural earthquake. And Chadwick carried its crown with humility and honor. Fans waited for his next chapter. But behind the cameras, behind the smiles, he was fighting a silent war. On August 28, 2020, the world stood still. Chadwick Boseman passed away at 43, surrounded by family, after a private battle with cancer that he never once used to gain sympathy or attention. When the news broke, the world mourned, not just a star, but a symbol. A man who gave everything he had, even as time was quietly slipping away. His legacy reminds us that true greatness is not just what you do on screen, but the strength you carry when no one is watching. Rich Homie Quan. Nearly a month after his tragic passing, the truth behind his death has finally been revealed. Medical examiners have confirmed he died from an accidental overdose. Rich Homie Quan wasn't just another Atlanta rapper. He was one of the brightest young voices to rise from the heart of the city that defined Southern hip-hop. Born October 4, 1989, he carried Atlanta's rhythm in his blood. His melodic flow, unforgettable hooks, and emotional honesty made him stand out in a scene overflowing with talent. He exploded onto the national stage with hits like Type of Way and Flex, songs that showcased his rare ability to sing, rap, and bleed emotion all in one breath. Quan helped champion a new era of Atlanta music, one built on melody, vulnerability, and raw storytelling. Young fans felt him because he sounded real. Street smart, heartfelt, and unfiltered. As a solo artist, he kept evolving. His mixtapes and albums pulled huge audiences, and his fan base stayed fiercely loyal. They loved him for his versatility. He could bring the club to life or slow the world down with something painfully honest. But on September 5, 2024, everything stopped. Rich Homie Quan was found dead inside his Atlanta home. The final ruling: an accidental overdose involving multiple substances. He was just 34 years old, still recording, still creating, still chasing the sound only he could make. A rising star gone too soon, leaving behind a legacy of melody, emotion, and a voice that Atlanta will never forget. DMX wasn't just a rapper, he was raw electricity. He once said, "I put out at least half the banging rap joints out there. If I stop, it's over." And for a time, he was right. Born December 18, 1970, in Mount Vernon and raised in the unforgiving streets of Yonkers, Earl DMX Simmons took pain, poverty, and chaos and forged them into some of the hardest, most soul-piercing records hip-hop has ever known. That voice, rough, growling, and charged with fire, could flip from pure aggression to heartbreaking vulnerability in a heartbeat. When It's Dark in Hell Is Hot exploded onto the scene in 1998, debuting at number 1, the world realized a new beast had entered the arena. Anthems like Rough Riders Anthem and Get At Me Dog became street commandments, powered by DMX's unmatched intensity. But beneath the ferocity was a man who rapped about faith, trauma, and redemption with the courage of someone who had lived every line. And when he stepped onto a movie set, in films like Belly and Romeo Must Die, he carried that same magnetic presence, raw, unpredictable, impossible to ignore. Yet behind the spotlight, DMX fought a brutal war with addiction. It was a battle that followed him through fame, fatherhood, and every attempt at recovery. On April 2, 2021, he suffered a heart attack reportedly triggered by a drug overdose. After a week in a coma, DMX passed away on April 9, 2021, at White Plains Hospital. He was only 50. He left behind 15 children, millions of fans, and a legacy carved in truth, struggle, and unfiltered passion. DMX's demons may have chased him until the end, but his voice, his spirit, and his impact remain immortal. Sam Cooke wasn't just a singer, he was a force of nature, a voice so smooth it could make you believe in miracles. Born on January 22, 1931, in Clarksdale, Mississippi, he was raised on the rhythms of church choirs, where gospel wasn't just music, it was survival, hope, and a way to breathe. That spiritual fire shaped him into the velvet-voiced prodigy who would later define soul itself. He began with the legendary Soul Stirrers, and the moment Sam opened his mouth, people stopped breathing. His tenor didn't just glide, it lifted people. But Sam dreamed bigger than the gospel circuit. In the 1950s, he crossed into mainstream music, and the world instantly knew his name. You Send Me, Wonderful World, songs that sounded effortless, intimate, like he was singing directly to your heartbeat. But Sam wasn't just brilliance behind a microphone. He was a visionary. In a time when black artists were expected to accept crumbs, he built his own record label and publishing company, insisting on ownership, control, and dignity. He opened doors that didn't exist and held them wide for future generations. And then, just as his star was burning brightest, it all ended. On December 11, 1964, Sam Cooke died under circumstances as murky as they were tragic. At the Hacienda Motel in Los Angeles, he was shot by the manager, Bertha Franklin. She claimed self-defense, saying Sam, wearing only a sport coat and shoes, burst into her office demanding to know where a woman had gone. It was a story that never quite added up. Too many gaps. Too many contradictions. Too many people who knew Sam insisting the official version wasn't the truth. He was only 33. A legend rising. A trailblazer becoming unstoppable. And for decades, the mystery of what really happened that night has refused to fade, leaving behind a haunting question. Did Sam Cooke die in chaos? Or was he silenced at the very moment he was learning to wield his power? Whitney Houston. A voice so powerful, people said it felt like taking flight, an indescribable surge of energy that lifted you out of your own body. Born on August 9, 1963, in Newark, New Jersey, Whitney was raised in a home where music wasn't just sound, it was legacy. Her mother, Cissy Houston, already a respected singer, recognized the spark in her daughter early, but even she couldn't predict the storm of brilliance Whitney would unleash on the world. When Whitney dropped her debut album in 1985, she didn't just enter the music industry, she detonated it. Greatest Love of All, How Will I Know, each song showcased a voice so clean, so effortless, it felt almost supernatural. And then came I Will Always Love You. With that one-note shattering performance from the Bodyguard soundtrack, Whitney didn't just sing a song, she claimed her place in history. 14 weeks at #1. One of the best-selling singles ever recorded. A moment the entire world felt at once. But behind the perfection was a woman fighting battles fame could never shield her from. Her marriage to Bobby Brown became a public roller coaster. Love, chaos, passion, addiction, heartbreak. The drugs that numbed her pain began to wear away the very thing that had made her a global icon, her voice. On February 11, 2012, the world broke. Whitney Houston was found dead in a bathtub at the Beverly Hilton Hotel, just hours before she was supposed to celebrate music's biggest night. The official cause, drowning with heart disease and cocaine use contributing. She was only 48. She had been trying, truly trying, to rebuild, to rise again. And that's what made the tragedy feel like a punch to the soul. Whitney wasn't just a singer. She was the voice. The gold standard. The once-in-a-generation gift we may never see or hear again. Jam Master Jay didn't just play music, he powered a movement. Growing up in the tough streets of Brooklyn, he knew exactly what it meant to live where good people and bad choices shared the same block. But instead of falling to the environment, he rose above it, turning raw rhythm into global influence. Born January 21, 1965, Jay became the heartbeat of Run DMC, the man behind the turntables who transformed beats into anthems. While Run and DMC delivered the rhymes, Jay crafted the sound, building the musical backbone that made their records impossible to forget. Together, they reshaped hip-hop in the 1980s, smashing boundaries when they fused rap and rock on the legendary remake of Walk This Way. That record didn't just chart, it connected two worlds that were never meant to meet, opening doors for an entire generation. Jay's turntable mastery pushed hip-hop into a new era. Albums like King of Rock and Raising Hell went platinum, proving that rap could dominate the mainstream. His style influenced countless DJs and stamped the turntable as a true artistic weapon in hip-hop culture. But behind the fame, danger always shadowed him. On October 30th, 2002, Jam Master Jay was in his Hollis, Queens studio, his sanctuary, working on new music, still mentoring young artists. Two gunmen walked in. Moments later, the man who helped shape a global sound lay dead on the studio floor. He was just 37. For nearly 2 decades, his murder haunted hip-hop. No answers. No justice. Only questions. Then in 2020, federal prosecutors finally charged 2 men, claiming the killing was tied to a drug dispute, a devastating twist for a man who tried to lift others away from the streets he once knew too well. Jam Master Jay's legacy didn't die that night. His sound, his influence, and his spirit still echo through every beat that dares to push hip-hop forward. Bobby Christina Brown. Do you like going on the road with your mommy to hear her sing? Yes. Do you say yes a lot? Yes. From the very beginning, Bobby Christina Brown never had a real shot at an ordinary life. Born on March 4, 1993, she entered the world as the only child of Whitney Houston and Bobby Brown, two of the biggest, loudest, most complicated stars in American music. The moment she opened her eyes, cameras opened theirs. She grew up under lights hotter than any stage her mother ever stood on. Being Whitney Houston's daughter came with unmatched privilege, but it also came with a weight no child should ever have to carry. The world didn't just watch her, they expected something from her. Expected her to sound like Whitney, shine like Whitney, be Whitney. And Bobby Christina wanted to follow that path. She appeared on reality shows, sang, performed, and tried to build a life in entertainment. But the shadows were already there. Because along with her parents' fame, she inherited their pain. Their highly public arguments, the addiction battles splashed across headlines, and the chaos of a love story that was as destructive as it was iconic. Whitney tried to shield her daughter, but the damage seeped through the cracks. Then, in 2012, the unthinkable struck. Whitney Houston died. Bobby Christina was just 19, barely an adult, when she lost the only person who ever made her feel safe. Her grief wasn't just sadness, it was a free fall. And with her own battles with substance abuse, the fall only went deeper. On January 31, 2015, tragedy repeated itself with chilling familiarity. Bobby Christina was found unresponsive in a bathtub in her Georgia home. The parallels to Whitney's death were almost too painful to accept. A bathtub, addiction, a young woman sinking beneath the weight of her own heartbreak. Doctors placed her in a medically induced coma, but the miracle never came. On July 26, 2015, at only 22 years old, Bobby Christina Brown took her final breath. Officially, pneumonia claimed her life, but drugs and alcohol had paved the road long before. Her story remains one of the most haunting legacies in modern music. A daughter born into brilliance, swallowed by the same darkness that stole her mother. Marvin Gaye. A man who once said, "If I'm sad, I write sad music. If I'm heartbroken, I write heartbreak albums. I write exactly who I am." And that was his gift, raw truth poured into sound. Born on April 2, 1939, in Washington, D.C., Marvin Gaye grew up singing gospel in a strict church, but his dreams stretched far beyond the pulpit. When he joined Motown in the early 1960s, he didn't just become another star, he helped shape the very heartbeat of the Motown sound. Early hits like Pride and Joy and How Sweet It Is proved his talent, but it was the timeless duets with Mary Wells and especially Tammy Terrell that revealed his soul's full range. Ain't No Mountain High Enough wasn't just a song, It became a permanent thread in the fabric of American music. But Marvin Gaye was never satisfied being just a hitmaker. In 1971, he took a risk no Motown artist had dared before. He released What's Going On, a daring masterpiece confronting war, poverty, environmental decay, and the pain he saw in everyday black life. Motown executives hated it. They said it was too political, too risky. But Marvin refused to silence his truth. The album became one of the greatest records ever made, a piece of living history. Yet behind the brilliance was a man unraveling. Marvin battled depression, addiction, and financial chaos. His love life was turbulent, his career often hanging by a thread, and the deepest wound of all was his relationship with his father, a strict, fire and brimstone preacher whose shadow haunted Marvin for decades. On April 1, 1984, inside his parents' Los Angeles home, years of pain exploded. After a heated argument, Marvin Gaye Sr. raised a gun and pulled the trigger. Just one day before his 45th birthday, the voice that gave the world so much beauty was silenced by the man who had given him life. A legend lost in the most tragic way imaginable, not by fate, not by illness, but by the hands of his own father. Marvin Gaye didn't just make music. He bled truth, love, pain, and hope into every note. And even in death, his voice refuses to fade. Black Rob. Another heartbreaking loss, one that shook hip-hop to its core. Reporter Lisa Evers revealed how the community desperately rallied to keep Black Rob alive, but in the end, their efforts came painfully too late. Robert Ross, the man the world knew as Black Rob, possessed one of the most unmistakable voices in rap history. Born June 16, 1969, in Buffalo and raised in the unforgiving streets of Harlem, he lived the kind of life most artists only pretend to rap about. His raw, gravel-deep voice and cinematic street storytelling cut through the crowded New York sound like a warning siren. His rise began at Bad Boy Records under Sean "Puffy" Combs, the same powerhouse label that shaped legends like Biggie. And then came Whoa. In 2000, the explosive anthem that didn't just become a hit, it became a cultural moment. Hard beats, sharp wordplay, and that voice, a voice carrying every bruise, heartbreak, and hustle he survived. His debut album Life Story peeled back the curtain even further. Black Rob didn't glamorize the streets, he exposed them. He rapped about the rush and the ruin, the victories and the scars. Fans connected because he told the truth, the real truth, not the polished version. But behind the legend was a man fighting a silent war. In his later years, kidney disease ravaged his body. Dialysis became routine. Money ran low. And the same industry he once helped electrify watched him fade, while only a few loyal friends stepped in to help. On April 17, 2021, Black Rob passed away from cardiac arrest tied to his kidney disease. He was just 51. After all the battles he survived in life, it was his failing body that finally took him. A voice that powerful, gone far too soon. A street poet who gave us everything he had, including the truth. The Notorious B.I.G. wasn't just a rapper, he was hip-hop royalty, a man whose voice defined an era. Born May 21, 1972, in the heart of Brooklyn's Bedford-Stuyvesant, Biggie turned the struggles, shadows, and survival of his neighborhood into poetry. He didn't just rap, he painted scenes, carving entire worlds with his words. When he told a story, you felt like you were sitting right beside him on those Brooklyn blocks. His flow was velvet smooth, effortless, but the lyrics? Razor sharp. Juicy became the anthem of every kid who dared to dream bigger than their circumstances, while Big Papa showcased the charm, swagger, and charisma that made him unforgettable. Biggie had a rare gift. He could shift from gritty street narratives to radio-friendly hits without ever losing his soul or authenticity. But his rise came during hip-hop's most explosive chapter, the East Coast-West Coast War. His bond with Tupac Shakur, once brothers in music, had twisted into a bitter feud that split the rap world and fueled real-world violence. The tension was no longer just in the music, it was in the streets. On March 9, 1997, after leaving a party at the Peterson Automotive Museum in Los Angeles, tragedy struck. A car pulled up beside Biggie's SUV. In seconds, gunfire shattered the night. Biggie was hit multiple times and died shortly after at the hospital. He was just 24, a legend gone before he even had a chance to see his prime. His death came 3 weeks before his second album, Life After Death, dropped, a title that now feels hauntingly prophetic. With hits like Hypnotize and Mo Money Mo Problems, the album proved Biggie was still soaring creatively, still shaping the sound of a generation. And today, the Los Angeles Police Department continues to investigate his murder, a case still unsolved, a loss still felt, and a legacy that refuses to fade. Kyrie Jackson. A funeral was held this morning in Maryland for Minnesota Vikings rookie linebacker Kyrie Jackson, a young star whose story ended long before it ever had the chance to shine. Kyrie was living the dream every kid with a football in his hands hopes for. Born on December 12, 2001, in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, he fought his way through every obstacle the game threw at him. From Fort Scott Community College, to battling with the Giants at Alabama, to proving his worth at Oregon, Kyrie's journey was anything but easy. But that grit, that hunger, was exactly what made NFL scouts look twice. By the 2024 draft, the Minnesota Vikings knew they had found something special. At just 23 years old, Kyrie walked into training camp with the energy of a young lion. Coaches praised how fast he absorbed the playbook. Teammates said he carried himself like he had been in the league for years. He wasn't just fighting for a spot, he was earning it. But fate had a different plan. On July 6, 2024, just as his professional story was beginning, Kyrie's life was cut short in a devastating car crash in Prince George's County, Maryland. 2 of his closest high school friends were with him, and none of them made it home. A rising career, a family's pride, a young man's dreams, all gone in an instant. Kyrie Jackson was supposed to become one of the greats. Instead, he became a heartbreaking reminder of how fragile every moment is. Thank you for watching. Which of these tragedies shocked you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more powerful stories.